Well, let's get it underway. Thank you so much for joining our Secretary Speaker Series. My name is Wade Crowfoot, and I serve as our Natural Resources Secretary here in California. If this is your first time in joining one of these dialogues, welcome. And if you're coming back, thanks for joining once again. These speaker series are all about raising up big ideas, inspiring leaders on issues that matter to California's environment. And I'm really pleased month over month to be able to facilitate these discussions, help each other learn about what's happening across California. And I think this week, very much to inspire us amidst challenging and uncertain times. In just a little bit, we'll jump into the conversation, but I first wanted to just share a little bit of housekeeping. We try to make these discussions as interactive as possible. My colleague Geeta Chandra, who deserves credit for organizing these discussions, is staffing the chat function on your screen. So make sure you open up your chat, because as we introduce leaders here today and learn about their work, Geeta will populate the chat with different information and links, which are fun to click onto. There's also a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So at any point, if you have a question you want to ask a panelist or the group of panelists, or a comment or an observation, click on that Q&A button, and then we on the panel will see it. Some of the questions we'll be able to respond to on the keyboards directly so that everybody can see. And then other questions I'll work to bring into the discussion that we have as a group. We are recording the discussion today, which will be available on our website starting tomorrow. And we're including in that a copy of all of the links, of that chat, I should say, that you can also access on our website tomorrow. We're going to take an hour for the conversation. I always make sure to end by the top of the hour, recognizing that everyone's days are quite busy. So with that said, let me first wish everybody a happy Black History Month. Across our agency and our administration, we are celebrating Black History Month as we do every February. You're seeing on the screen a remarkable set of events that an organizing committee from 26 departments across our agency put together. These are online learning sessions, career fairs, meetups. It's really quite incredible. There's a couple of events still coming up. One is here around Sacramento at Marshall Gold Discovery Park, coming up this weekend, I believe, on Saturday. And then we're having our next speaker series specifically focused on Black leaders charting the path in conservation. We are proud to celebrate our diverse history across California and the country, and of course, that's what makes us American. So while we're celebrating Black History Month this month, next month we'll celebrate Women's History Month, and then rolling into Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and then on into Pride. From our perspective, lifting up these different aspects of our culture and our community is one way to celebrate each other and help build stronger connections across our state. So proud to do that. Now, obviously, 2025 has been quite a year already. Many of us have spent much of the first 6 weeks reacting to the horrific fires in Los Angeles. And I want to just start by sharing that our support are with all of those who have been impacted by those fires. Our state agencies and certainly local and federal agencies all focused on a daily basis helping people that have been impacted by those fires and ultimately driving the recovery and the rebuilding in Los Angeles. It's also, if we're being honest, been a challenging moment of instability and political polarization. You know, it's just been in the last several days, we're learning that massive sudden firings of federal employees mean less park rangers in our national parks across California. We're losing partners who are planning and executing wildfire resilience projects with us across California to keep people safe. And really from any manner of federal agencies that manage almost half of our land in California, we're really concerned about these changes. But while we recognize all of that and we don't want to essentially ignore these broader changes that are happening, we thought this discussion would be a great opportunity to remind ourselves of what we can do in our own lives to protect and restore the environment, to build hope and progress in our own communities. One leader, scientific leader I follow, a woman named Katharine Hayhoe, whom you may know, talks about that we maintain hope even in these challenging times by taking action. And actually, as we take action, we generate that hope inside of us, and then share that then generates hope with others. So today is all about meeting leaders and organizations across California that are organizing really interesting and in many cases fun ways that you can engage and your communities can engage in protecting the environment in your backyard and in our state, and in ways that have impact across the world. So I'm excited to jump into it. We've got, I think, 5 leaders that we're going to that I'll introduce. We'll hear from each one of them, and then at the end we'll jump in and have a conversation together. My first guest is Leela Higgins. Leela is a colleague who works at the Los Angeles County Museum of Natural History. And I've really enjoyed getting to know Leela over the months and now years. The Natural History Museum of Los Angeles is an incredible place located in Exposition Park right there in Los Angeles. And Leela, we usually think about natural history museums as, including things like big dinosaur skeletons. And there are some incredible dinosaur skeletons at the Natural History Museum in LA, but you and your colleagues are almost like flipping the script and bringing the museum outside the walls of the institution. So if you would just introduce yourself and talk about what the Museum of Natural History is doing and how people can actually engage.
Thanks, Wade. Hi, everyone. My name is Leela Higgins. I use they, them pronouns. I am the co-founder and co-director of the City Nature Challenge, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute, and also the senior manager for community science at the Natural History Museum. So I live in LA. January has been an incredibly hard month for many people on my team and many of our community partners. It's just like unimaginable how hard it's been. But I've also seen, to your point, Wade, about hope, I've seen so much mutual aid happening around Los Angeles, and that's really been heartwarming. And I also see community science as a form of mutual aid in some instances. I've seen folks come together in LA doing what they call the rent brigade, where they've been collecting data to then pull out landlords who are price gouging in the aftermath. For those of you who don't know what community science is, it is basically when the general public get involved in scientific research. And sometimes the general public can be just collecting data, like taking a picture of a snail or collecting an ash sample. But then you can also go all the way to community-led projects where the community is the one that comes up with the question, works with scientists to come up with a research plan, and then executes that plan, and they're in charge of the budget. The community science office at the Natural History Museum, where I work, we do all sorts of community science. So we do projects where our scientists at the museum create the question, and we also work with community partners where they come up with the research question. And I want to just tell you all a little bit about some of the work that's been happening, again, that's really been giving me hope and helping me to move through this, and also our community at large. So in response to the LA fires, our office has been doing some ash sampling. We went out to Altadena and collected a number of ash samples, and our curator of mineralogy, Dr. Aaron Celestian, is going to be looking at those ash samples to see what toxic substances are in there. This is kind of like piggybacking on a project that we've been working on for the last number of years called Prospering Backyards, which is a project that we have been doing in partnership with Self-Help Graphics, which is a local organization, arts organization, social justice organization here in LA, and an artist called Maru Garcia. We were looking at soil lead pollution and how we can use a mineral called zeolite, and with application, it can make it less bioavailable. So then it makes it more safe for humans, children especially, to be out in yards and things. We also have a project where we're working with the only indigenous school in Los Angeles, where we're using a platform called iNaturalist, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a second, and camera traps and bat detectors on 12 acres of land back that they were able to get in partnership with the Gabrielino Shoshone, one of our local tribes. And this is a project led by indigenous youth collecting that data on the biodiversity that lives on that 12 acres to then help inform that community and conservation that the tribe and the students are leading. And I've learned so much from working with these folks. It's been pretty amazing. So these are some examples of hyper-local community science that, especially in times of crisis, can be so powerful. Like when we collect data together, we can inform decision-making in the community, and also we can help influence decision-making on the local, state, and hopefully federal level too. So I think, again, community science can be so powerful and bring a lot of hope. We also do projects that are more than hyper local. We go into the regional. And so we have a project called Snail Search, which we call SNEARCH for short. I know I need a lot of joy in these times that are so difficult. And we have Snail Search, which is all over Southern California. Anywhere between February 1st and March 31st, we need people to go out and take pictures of snails and slugs. Believe it or not, there are snails and slugs that live in Southern California and nowhere else in the entire world. And so we need help for folks getting out there. And also, just again, saying SNEARCH is really helpful. I have a slide about iNaturalist. Again, I mentioned that I would tell you a little bit about what iNaturalist is. It's an amazing online platform that many of you may be already familiar with. I call it like a social media platform for specifically for nature nerds. And so you can use your smartphone or a digital camera, take pictures, or you can record sounds of any plant, animal, mushroom, even a slime mold, and then upload it to iNaturalist. And then that is an online database that anyone can access. Scientists can access it, but also like your teacher or your neighbor or your grandma could access it and see what's in the backyard and use that data to ask and answer questions. And so this leads me into this global project that I work on and run with Rebecca, who's going to talk a little bit more about it. But I also have a slide about the City Nature Challenge. So this is a project that we started, and it was kind of more local back when we first started in 2016. LA versus San Francisco, which city can find the most nature, using iNaturalist, get all that data online. And this year, it's going to be our 10-year anniversary. We're really excited. And we're going to be making observations from April 25th to the 28th. And then we'll go into the identification period. And then our results are going to be announced on May 5th. This last year, we had 690 cities all over the globe taking part and over 80,000 people. And this year, maybe we'll have 100,000 people, over 700 cities. And next slide. And that's just a little bit of the impact of this project. Cumulatively, so far, we've made 7.13 million biodiversity observations. Over 360,000 people have come together, and it's just this amazing thing. And thanks so much, Wade, for helping us highlight it.
Yeah, Leela, and I can tell you, I've got iNaturalist, as you know, on my phone, and it's really fun to do with my daughter. So when we're out and about in the neighborhood or on a hike and we don't know what we're actually looking at, we take a photo of it. And it uploads, and ultimately we learn the species and what it is. And at the same time, we're actually then contributing to this remarkable global database of identifying where plants and animals are. So thanks for what you and are doing, and with Rebecca and the Academy of Sciences. And then I'll just say, I love this idea of the City Nature Challenge, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands this as an opportunity. Earth Day is going to be right there on April 22nd. And so right around there, you have an opportunity to mobilize, make sure that you're downloading this on your app, and then recording nature around you and participating in this really fun, friendly competition. So Leela, I'm going to transition now to Rebecca Johnson, who is your co-partner in the City Nature Challenge. Rebecca leads so much scientific work at the California Academy of Sciences. Many of us have been there in person in Golden Gate Park. It's an incredible place of science and wonder. And the Academy is actually sponsoring scientific work around the world. So Rebecca, welcome to this conversation, and talk a little bit about your work at the Academy and also, of course, the City Nature Challenge.
Thanks so much, Wade, and thanks everyone. It's really nice to be here to talk about the work that we do. I'm excited to hear from the other panelists because, like all of you, I'm thinking of ways to get out there and find joy, and also give back and do some service for my local community, but also my state. And so, like the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles, the California Academy of Sciences is a natural history museum. We have a public floor, a museum, a planetarium, a rainforest, and we have behind the scenes a suite of scientists who work to understand the diversity of life, how different plants and animals are related to each other, and answer tons of different questions about that diversity. But the core, really, to all of the questions that all of the scientists here, including me, ask is like, what species are found where, and how is that changing? That's like there's lots and lots more than that, but that's kind of one of the core questions. And when we started our community science here at the Academy, we really quickly realized that is something that everyone can do, is help us understand where species are and how that's changing. And we developed about, I don't know, 12 years ago, 13 years ago now, kind of a new community science that was really about engaging people in making and sharing observations of the plants and animals they see, whether it's in their everyday lives, like you're talking about, Wade, like in your backyard with your kid, or special places, like places that you might go on vacation or have to travel a little further for. And so we developed a program that helps support people making those observations and realizing that nature is everywhere. And so we run a handful of different campaigns with my team runs those campaigns out of the Cal Academy. One is the City Nature Challenge that we partner with LA County to run. We also run another program called Snapshot Cal Coast that is a coastal program that happens every June, where we ask people to get out along the coast of California and make and share observations of the plants and animals they see. And those are very similar programs in that we don't tell people exactly what to do, but we give the tools and the training and the resources for communities and leaders of those communities to figure out what works best for their folks. We just say, here's the window, here are the questions that we're asking. And my team, one of the things that we do and that we've really developed is taking all of the data that we collect during those campaigns, whether it's the City Nature Challenge, a one-day event, Snapshot Cal Coast, California Biodiversity Day, all of those kinds of events that happen in California, we take those data that we've collectively collected and we work to develop tools that folks can use to help make decisions. So for Snapshot Cal Coast, for example, we partner with the California Ocean Protection Council to use the data that we've collected to help inform coastal management. And the coolest thing is that these are data that are really pictures that people like all of us have taken. So you're out on the beach and you see something cool and you take a picture, you're like, what is this starfish? I want to know about it. You get to learn. And that's also a data point that's helping inform management of our coasts. And one thing we're really, really excited about now is a new partnership we have with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Biogeographic Data Branch and the California Academy of Sciences and iNaturalist. We're working in partnership to build the data pipelines that are needed to bring all of these community collected data that have been shared on iNaturalist in California. We're talking 18 million observations, to think about how we can bring all of those data into state decision-making tools so that, Wade, that you and your team can have those data to help drive decisions. Right now, those data are freely available, but they're not super easy for folks in the California state government to figure out how to get them into their tools to use those. So we're super excited about this new partnership because it means that anytime anyone's participating in something like the City Nature Challenge, their photo turns into data that can help guide conservation decision-making in our state, and that's extremely powerful. And I want to show really quickly a slide that has the list of the counties in California that are participating this year in the City Nature Challenge. So take a look at this. If your county is listed here, any observation you make on iNaturalist between April 25th and April 28th of this year will count toward the City Nature Challenge. If your county is not on this list, you can join something called the Global City Nature Challenge Project, and your observations will still count. And additionally, if you live in a county that's not on this list and you want to organize the City Nature Challenge for next year in your county, there will be Gita or someone will be sharing a link here about how you can sign up to participate next year. And if you check back on the City Nature Challenge website or on the Cal Academy website or NHMLA, you'll be able to see events and other things in your county.
It is incredible, Rebecca. And at a time when a lot of us are so worried about the assault on science and, the removal of climate change data, for example, on federal websites, you all are driving this decentralization, this democratization of science and scientific data. So it's kind of remarkable in our own lives, we can participate with independent science institutions to ensure that the best information on our environment is being captured in real time.
Exactly. I mean, in fact, like there's lots of data, like Leela was talking about, the snail search that's going on, that it'd be impossible for professional scientists to get everywhere in Southern California to document the snails during their wettest time of year. But we as individuals can do that, learn about our snails in our backyard, literally, and contribute data that we can't get anywhere else. And it's always been difficult to get those data. And now, as we're seeing, unfortunately, like a reduction in the number of folks that can do that professionally, we can step up. I mean, of course, we can advocate because we always need professional folks doing that work. And to make these tools effective that we're talking about, we also need climate data and data that is generated by the government. But there's a lot of things. There are many, many things that we can do that are extra important, like more important now than ever.
Incredible. So for the almost 300 people that are joining us here today, do yourself a favor and participate in the City Nature Challenge towards the end of April. Gita's got the links in, and if you follow us on social media as we get closer to Earth Week, we'll share more information about that. I also love that SNRCH program in Southern California, mostly because it's such a fun word to say, as Leela pointed out. But we're going to now introduce Jose Aguirre, who is another leader that's driving the community science across California. He is the community science coordinator for the California Native Plant Society, or what we know as CNPS. So Jose, welcome. Share with us a little bit about what you do, and for those who don't know the Native Plant Society, what your purpose is.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to be talking about something that's, really important. So, anyways, the California Native Plant Society is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to conserving California's native plants and their natural habitat through science, stewardship, gardening, education, and advocacy. And our organization has almost 60 staff members and about, I think it's 36 volunteer-led chapters statewide, which offer many unique opportunities for and services for local communities, but also opportunities for us to expand our reach throughout California. And really, CNPS has long been committed to participatory science, but over the past 4 years, we've shifted our focus to the core principles of community science. That means, prioritizing community-driven and community-controlled initiatives while, actively engaging people in scientific research that is not only relevant to the scientific community, but also to the broader public. And now I'll share a little bit about 2 ongoing community science projects that we have at CNPS. The first one is our California Oak Watch project. This project focuses on protecting California's native oaks. We actively encourage people to join the project on iNaturalist and contribute to recording oak observations, in particular, emphasis on young oaks. And also, just as important, contribute to oak identification. We have plenty of free resources for Oak ID, and this is for all experiences in both English and Spanish. So feel free to join the project. We have frequent challenges throughout the year, And we give out some really awesome oak merch, like the oak watch pins that we have, and then the oak shirts too. So really cool opportunity to get engaged. And the second project, that I'll talk about now is probably our largest campaign to date, which is the California Fire Followers Project. It is a community science campaign that seeks to document the response of plants in burn areas. We started this project in spring of 2021 as a response to the historic fire season in 2020, where nearly 10,000 fires burned about 4.2 million acres. And our goal with the 2020 Fire Followers Project are to, one, change the language around wildfires. We all know that fires are multifaceted. They're, incredibly traumatic. And while we don't want to undermine the social impacts of wildfires, we do note that, they can be a good thing for plants. And the second thing, activate and educate volunteers and increase outreach to people in science, especially those historically excluded in conservation. And the last thing is to gather data on fire following plants, to compare plants seen before and after fires, also increase an understanding of fire followers, and provide crucial information on species of concern to aid in conservation efforts. So far with this project, we've collected about 450,000 observations with our 2020 and our 2021 Fire Followers project. We are currently working with Avery Hill from the California Academy of Sciences to develop an amazing web app that will allow users to view and manipulate crowdsourced data from our 2020 Fire Followers project on iNaturalist. And this will aid in data analysis and visualization. So we aim to spend this year, which will be the 5th anniversary of the historic 2020 wildfire year that catalyzed this project, to promote the web app and this tool. So sharing the results of the project, and also telling stories of plants, places, and people who have contributed to this project. And the last thing that I will say is that one of the biggest successes of this project, aside from the data and the people that are involved, has been seeing the growing number of independent fire followers projects that have been replicated from our model, both in California and in neighboring states. And beyond limited funding, this growth was a key reason why we chose not to continue to run a fire followers project annually, but instead focus on supporting organizations and individuals who are interested in launching their own fire followers project, to utilizing our, framework and resources that we've developed over the last 4 years. And that includes the web app that we're currently working on. That should be finished in March, and the data analysis that we're also currently in. So, yeah, thank you for listening.
That is so cool, Jose. And 450,000 observations in that Fire Followers project. Far beyond this being sort of a novel niche activity, this is a database, a scientific database that you all have generated through people power that then will inform the way that we help landscapes restore after wildfire. Just incredible. And for those who don't know, California is one of 36 biodiversity hotspots on planet Earth, which means we have more natural richness, natural diversity of plants and animals and other life forms than almost anywhere else on Earth. And one factoid, Jose, that your colleagues educated me on was, as I understand it, 40% of the plant species that we encounter in California only grow in California, are endemic to this place. So we have just this incredible natural richness, this really unique set of ecosystems that we're working to protect. And each of us can go outside on the any day of the week, and with the use of a smartphone, actually help protect that nature. So Jose, huge thanks for all you do. A whole other realm of environmental leadership involves advocacy, And I'm really pleased to invite to the screen Laura Dehan, who is the State Director of Environment California. Laura has been a colleague and a friend for years. And as somebody who works in government, Laura and her colleagues have been building campaigns to help California policymakers understand just how important establishing strong environmental protection is. And so, Laura, huge thanks for your advocacy. And if you would, talk a little bit about what Environment California does in that realm, but as I understand it, increasingly in the education and awareness realm as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Secretary Crowfoot. Hello, everyone. So I'm really excited to be here and share the work that we're doing at Environment California. If you don't know, we're a statewide, people-powered nonprofit organization with one really clear mission, which is to protect and restore our natural world. And we advocate for ideas and actions, both big and small, that are going to help shift our state and our whole country onto a greener and healthier path. And Environment California is actually part of a network of 30 different state environmental groups all around the country, which is Environment America. And we work for clean air, clean water, protecting our beautiful open spaces, and also working for clean energy to protect wildlife and for a livable climate. And we're member supported. So it's really our members who put kind of grassroots support behind our research and our public education, advocacy, and our litigation work. And we think that nothing is really more important to our future than facing the fact that on a finite planet with finite resources, it's just not possible or wise to have infinite extraction or economic growth. And the reality is that when nature thrives, it also replenishes our lives with the beauty and awe and wonder, like about little snails and that we were just hearing about, and the incredible little insects that are so incredible that are helping to make our natural world work. So we're working to shift that mindset away from deplete toward preserve and toward sustainability instead of a disposable society, and to help feel like we have enough rather than never enough. And so we really approach that mission with a like results-oriented, action-oriented way. So we stay really laser focused on the environment, and we're working to make a difference, not make a statement in our campaigns. We're really determined and committed to work with anybody when we agree on these environmental goals so that we can get action and accomplishments. So all parts of the political spectrum, we want to work together to protect our future. And we reach out to as many people as we can. So we're going beyond preaching to the choir. And the thing I've been thinking a lot about as I've been reading the news the last few weeks, few months, is how important our actions are today and right now. There's that expression, think globally, act locally. And I've been thinking also of an additional addendum, which is like, think about the future and act right now, because what we do right now really matters. And even while the news can be overwhelming, the political news or the news about what's happening with our natural world, there's a lot that we can do to set ourselves on a better trajectory for the future. So, for example, one campaign we've been working on is to save the bees. We're concerned because 1 in 3 bee species in our state is at risk of going extinct. And these little creatures are so crucial to upholding the entire web of life. And we know that partly they're affected by the heat waves and the drought that are making it harder for them to survive. But we also know that in our control, we have the ability to plant a bee-friendly garden, and the flowers that grow provide habitat and nectar that could make the difference for the bees in your neighborhood. And if we stop using bee-killing pesticides in a bigger scale way, if we establish pollinator-friendly habitat all across the state, that literally makes thousands of flowers bloom that could support bees and butterflies and give them a better shot. Similarly, if you use less energy, and if many other people do, if you reduce waste by using refillable products, or if you organize a beach cleanup, that action, when multiplied by a lot of people, really, really matters. And so that's the things that we're focused on. And there's a lot we can be doing right now to take personal action to protect the environment and to team up with others to take on bigger challenges and make an even bigger difference. So right now, one of our top priorities at Environment California is to protect our ocean. It's really important. It's the source of all life on Earth, as we know. And today, half of our oxygen comes from tiny ocean phytoplankton. So it's really important that we protect a healthy ocean for the future. Unfortunately, the threats facing our ocean are unprecedented today. We're seeing marine heat waves that are getting more intense, more frequent, pollution, right, from plastic or sewage, from oil drilling that are causing spills. And now 90% of the world's large fish, like the shark and tuna, are gone. Here, just in California, more than 90% of our state's kelp forest habitat was decimated in just the last decade. But we can take action to help protect our ocean. As individuals, we can use less, reuse, reduce, recycle, so that there's less plastic pollution washing into the sea. And as a community, we can organize cleanups, the park and river beach cleanups, that will really help get a lot of that litter out of the waterways. And a lot of communities are coming together on April 19th, right before Earth Day, to do big beach cleanups and river cleanups. And as a statewide community, one of the best solutions we have to safeguard our ocean and protect it for the future is to create more state parks in the ocean, which are called marine protected areas. And these are areas off limits to most extraction or commercial activity that have been really proven in the last decade plus to help nature recover and to allow nature to thrive up and down the coast. And so this year in 2025, state leaders in California are considering, for the first time in more than a decade, expanding our network of these marine protected areas. And so right now is a great time to get involved in that effort. You can submit a comment to support some of the Environment California backed proposals at the Fish and Game Commission, where they're considering this, so that we can expand these marine protected areas. We have a lot more info about that on our website. And we also have resources where you can learn more about campaigns for clean water, to save energy, so that we can get more of our energy from the sun and the wind, and for clean air and to reduce waste, and where you can join our efforts so that we can stand up for people and for the wildlife by making a difference for a better world. One resource I wanted to highlight, especially if you've got kids in your life, is this resource called Nifty 50s, which is 50 different activities that you can do with kids right now that will make a difference on the environment in your community. We also have great resources on how to plan a bee-friendly garden. And if you want to be part of this broader change, you can find out a lot more on our website, which I think was in the chat. So thank you again so much, Secretary Crowfoot and everyone. It's so fun to be on this panel. Back to you.
Thank you, Laura. And I love your energy and optimism, even as you tackle some of the roughest environmental challenges we face. And I'll remind everybody that the modern environmental movement that gave us the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act and a lot of the environmental safeguards in the United States that have now been emulated around the world was the result of grassroots action. It was the result of people coming together and creating that Earth Day, which brought, at the time, I think it was the largest mass demonstration in American or even world history. Millions came out across the country. And so, you know, personal action and activism matters. And I feel really lucky to live in California and do the work that we do, especially at this moment in time. And the work that Laura and her colleagues and friends do is critically important because there's more to be done to protect and restore California. And I love the idea that you can get involved, Laura, in everything from the plants that you're putting in your garden to more direct advocacy, if that's something that people are interested in. So huge thanks, and just keep the faith. I just love the energy.
Thanks. Yeah, let's take action together.
Yeah. All right. Well, our last guest is a special guest before we get into a group conversation, and that he is Josh Friday. Josh Friday is a colleague and friend in the administration of Governor Newsom. He is the governor's partner on all things public service. Josh has a couple of fancy titles, one of which is Chief Service Officer, but he's actually a public servant as demonstrated in his life. He was the mayor of the hometown he grew up in, Novato, California. He served in the United States Navy. He led civic nonprofit groups to expand voter and citizen participation. And now he finds himself as leading all of California state government's efforts to mobilize people to get out and actually serve, volunteer, take action in their own communities. So Josh, in a moment, I'm going to ask you about like what's happening, because this is all about ways for people to get involved. But first, I want to ask you about the role of public service and the role of community engagement. I've been witness to some really fascinating conversations between you and Governor Newsom, and I think you agree that in this moment, in this age of just really discouraging political polarization, service can actually help bridge divides that we suffer from. So can you just introduce yourself, and then talk a little bit about that philosophy before we delve into what's happening?
Absolutely. Excited to do that. And thank you, Secretary, for pulling together this incredible panel of people and this whole community. I really appreciate this for a couple of reasons. One is, like some of you, I've had the privilege of being able to hike with Secretary Crowfoot. And I remember the first time being on a hike, just being so thoroughly impressed and grateful that we had a Secretary of Natural Resources that knew so much about every plant and every animal. And it didn't take until the second hike to realize that he was just using iNaturalist. So to meet the iNaturalist leaders is really quite an honor, and I look forward to partnering with you all. And then secondly, it's what you're doing here, Secretary, and bringing this community together is exactly why Governor Newsom has invested in this service work so intently, to answer your question, which is that we have a climate crisis. We all know this, but we also have a crisis of connection. We live in a society right now where people feel very divided and polarized and isolated. The Surgeon General of the United States last year declared an epidemic of loneliness in our country. And so the question is how can we bring people together? How can we make people feel like they're part of something? And as many of us know, because many of us have had the privilege of serving, service is a powerful way to do that. And what we've been trying to do, and I think in some inspiring ways in partnership with many of you, is show that by taking climate action, that you can both connect with other people and you can connect with the earth at the same time. So we're actually addressing this crisis of connection of both our communities, but also of our planet and of our earth together. And so what we've been able to do quickly, if I can jump into it, Secretary, right now, is this the right time to jump into quickly what Governor Newsom has been building on the service side? What we've been able to do is basically create opportunities for all Californians, whether you have an hour to give or a year to give, to take climate action. So if you want to commit a year of your life to serve in your community and organize your community around climate action, we've created the Climate Action Corps, which is an opportunity to get paid to be a climate organizer in your community, working on really important climate work, that when you finish the program, you get a $10,000 scholarship for college, and hopefully we've launched you into career sustainability. We've also created opportunities for people to volunteer. We've built, largely led by our Climate Corps members, but we have built and are organizing what we call community climate action days around the state in all communities, in big cities, small towns, liberal bastions, rural areas. We've created opportunities for people to come together through a day of action where they can do something meaningful around climate and in their community, but they can also do it together with other people. And that's what has made it so powerful. And then finally, we've launched a campaign this year, and actually our hope is that we end up partnering with many of you all on this, called the Climate Action Counts campaign, which is to send a message that if Californians can take individual action in your life, it counts. it matters. It adds up to something really important. And we've set a very ambitious goal of over time having 1 million Californians take the Climate Action Counts pledge to do something meaningful in their life, whether that's reduce waste or compost or support local farmers or green your ride. And the point is that you're not just doing it in your life, you're doing it with others. You're doing it with 1 million other Californians. And I hope coming out of this conversation that we engage very, very intently and strategically with the City Nature Challenge and also the Fire Followers campaign and some of the many other great ideas that have been listed. But I think the point is, Secretary, that with what we're trying to do and what Governor Newsom believes so strongly in is that we need to take climate action and we need to do it together. Because if we do it together, then it's fun, then we're building community, and it sends a very important message, I think, to everyone in our society, which is you are not alone. And that's what this panel and this whole community that you brought together also represents. And so we're excited to continue to scale these efforts together.
Gosh, that's incredible. And I love the opportunities to not only take action to combat climate change, but these are improvements that people are making to their own communities. So I've seen your social media when you have these climate action days in communities. You'll get hundreds of people out actually doing something like restoring a wetland or planting trees, which are of course part of the grand solution, but also improve the community, right?
Absolutely, totally. That's the whole point, is that you can see the change in your community. There is something that you can do. Literally every Californian can do something around taking climate action. And what's been so beautiful about the example of the Climate Action Days, we did one in Richmond this last year, Richmond, California. We had over 800 people from the community show up. And what was amazing was there were not just several languages spoken, but there were kids, there were grandparents, people of all ages, people of all backgrounds. And that's really the power of investing in this infrastructure of community action, which is it's a way to bring people together of different backgrounds, different perspectives, and to say we all live on the same planet and we all live in the same community. So let's do something together to make it better.
That's incredible. You know, on the Q&A, I'm seeing so many positive comments from people that feel like this is encouraging and that they want to take more action and get involved. And what I like about, let's go to the group. Let's go to this Brady Bunch view, as it were, and get the group back involved. What I love about each of your presentations is there are things to plug into right now. It's not that somebody has to figure out how to create a nonprofit or to found an organization. There are entities to plug into right at this very moment. I want to give you a little bit of a sample of some of the incoming that we've got in the Q&A, and shout out some people who are real leaders in their own communities. Diana Waynand is involved as a leader in the Climate Reality Project in San Fernando Valley. This is a citizen organized group that I've spoke to before, and she's saying that she's now going to get plugged into some of the work that you all are talking about. We've got Cassie Decker, who is a friend of mine from social media, that says she's so glad that Department of Fish and Wildlife is actually plugging into this iNaturalist data. And that's also being discussed in this conversation with the University of California, this biodiversity sentinel site table. Laura O'Connor, who's a leader and an activist in Los Angeles and a dear friend of mine. Josh is asking you if there are immediate opportunities in Altadena for folks to plug into. So make sure you take a look at that question. It's really, really exciting to see all the energy here. I want to ask you all a question. Anyone can answer it. What do you see as the biggest barrier we need to overcome to get more folks to engaged? So to have, instead of however many you have involved in SNRCH, for example, Leela, to get several thousand, or to get more people doing the Fire Followers, Jose or Rebecca, on the City Nature Challenge. Like, what do you see as barriers or challenges that we should overcome? And Josh and Laura, you guys have been doing this work for a very long time.
I'll just jump in since you did mention SNRCH. So we have an amazing team at the museum. Just big shout out to the entire team. Our projects would not be as accessible as they are without our team. And so SNRCH is run by Liliana Hernandez and Sam Tayag in our office. And they both think a lot about accessibility, creating materials in Spanish and multiple other languages, making sure that when we run programs that we make sure that accessibility is front and center in the advertising of that, so folks know that this is a program that I can come to and I can engage in. And there are going to be some accommodations for them depending on where the program's going to be. And so I think, we have a very varied perspective in our office with folks who are neurodivergent, folks who English is their second language, folks who, just have different levels of ability. And so that having folks on your team who have that expertise makes it that much easier for you to then be able to reach a really wide and varied audience. I remember hearing a story from someone who ran the Great Sunflower Project, and you're looking for bees. And in California, we have 1,600 species of bees, native bees in California, 1,600 species, not just the one honeybee species. So there was a person who was at an old folks home and they were in a wheelchair and they were like, I didn't think that I could contribute to community and anymore, but sitting in my wheelchair and getting to look at a sunflower and count bees as they're coming and going, this person said that they felt valuable and they felt part of something bigger. Again, that loneliness is something that we need to fight against, and I think community science can be a really powerful tool to help people feel that meaningfulness and do it in a way that's accessible for as many people as possible.
Love that.
Yeah, I'll just add on to what Leela said. I think there's also something, Leela's team does an incredible job with inclusion. And, really, I think all of us do work that's helping people realize that when we're talking about doing community science, like in most cases right now, we're talking about getting outside, taking a walk, and taking a picture. And so this isn't, there are a few barriers there, but it's getting out anywhere. And so I think if we talk about things like, hiking instead of walking, like this is like taking a walk. This is like getting out and being curious. It's not like there isn't a huge barrier. And just the idea that getting out and sharing what you're seeing while you're there, that anyone can do that and that you learn while you're doing it. And so I think there is just a basic communication, and how we communicate about that work is like super, super critical and super important.
Hey, I have a great question from Audrey. And Josh, I want to make sure you can answer this, but others too. As a young professional in marine and climate sciences currently navigating the job market, I'm grappling with balancing my commitment to service with the financial realities of living in California. Given the uncertainty of the transition, do you have any advice on making career choices that align both my passion, and economic stability? Great question.
Yeah, it's a terrific question, and I won't pretend to have the perfect answer, and I'm so curious what others say. It's one of the reasons that we have invested in service so much, in service programs with programs like the Climate Corps. We have another College Corps program that helps students pay for college while they're in school and to take climate action as students. Because it is really important, especially now with what we see, some of the attacks on government, on workers, that we show that you don't have to make a choice between your passion or a paycheck, that you don't need to decide whether you pursue a career or you help your community, that there are actually ways to do both. And maybe the only advice I would have, other than to keep continuing to push us and leaders to invest in this work and to invest in public service, is to stay courageous. And my experience in life is, even at times when I've taken pay cuts or have had to make hard decisions, that if I stay focused and do something that I'm passionate about and that I care about and that I'm motivated for, it always ends up working out, and I end up doing better in the end. And so my advice to you is to stay strong, keep going. We need you desperately to stay in public service, and you will find a way, and you'll live a happy and fulfilled life because of it.
And I would share a thought and then maybe a piece of tactical advice. The one thought is, government government science jobs are really, really important, and we are not backing away from those in California. Some of the most talented scientists I know I work with in our agency, and they are crafting meaningful careers that are having an impact on the environment, and really stable jobs that create for pension and retirement, et cetera. Now, I think what's so alarming with these federal actions is, that compact seems like it's being threatened at the federal level, but I know in the state and local level, those are great careers to build in government. And then my piece of tactical advice is, you know, my experience in building my career is so much is based on relationships and showing people your commitment and your competence. And so even if you have to get that first job that's not right in the swim lane of your environmental passion, get engaged outside of that job. Volunteer, join organizations in which you'll meet others who are doing this work, and build relationships with those who are more established doing the work. Because I find that sometimes the people that we're able to recruit into our organizations in my career are people that we've just met and become impressed with. So I would say don't be discouraged if that first or second job isn't right in the swim lane, as long as you're building your network in the passion in which in the area in which you're passionate about. So, folks, we have 3 minutes left, and I want to do a quick speed round, because this is the hour of encouragement in what has been a trying 2025. I just want to ask everybody, each person, what's one thing that you're looking forward to in the next 6 to 12 months? Laura.
I can share. One thing I'm excited about is this May 6th is California Ocean Day, and it's actually the 20th California Ocean Day, which is so exciting. It's been happening for 20 years now, and that's a day where we usually have 200 to 300 people come to Sacramento, ocean advocates from all around the state who really just want to make a difference. And so if anyone's interested, it's californiaoceanday.org. You can sign up and we'll do trainings on the way.
Amazing. Josh.
I'm excited that we have 2 large climate community action days that are scheduled. One is March 29th in San Bernardino. We're going to be in the IE. And the second is April 19th in Los Angeles, which means I know that we're going to see Diana from the Climate Reality Project there, and hopefully many of you on this call as well.
Excellent. Leela.
Unsurprisingly, I'm excited about the City Nature Challenge. It's the 10-year anniversary. It is something that I've been working on personally for over 10 years now. And it's a really big deal to see something that has grown from just this intrastate effort, LA versus San Francisco, to now 45 plus countries all over the world, over 690 cities, and tens of thousands of people. I can't wait to see how much data we all collect together, and just seeing the pictures and the stories come in from folks all over the world, like kids in Mumbai doing the same exact thing as kids in LA, taking pictures. Back when P22 was still around, like maybe there was a picture of P22 and maybe there was a picture of like a big cat in like Mumbai in the city. And that is something that gives me chills and makes me excited.
Amazing. Jose.
Yeah, I'm also really excited about City Nature Challenge. I'll be organizing Kern County and Stanislaus County, which is really exciting. You got, California Native Plant Month coming up. You have Latino Conservation Week. There's all of these things, California Biodiversity Day, all of these events coming up, so many ways to get involved, and just a really great way to access outdoor spaces. Yeah.
Rebecca.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm excited for all the City Nature Challenge, of course. But I think one of the things I'm really extra excited about is that our team has been working on a new pilot dashboard for communities to look at the data resulting from the City Nature Challenge in ways that they haven't been able to. So that's individual participants to communities. So launching that as a pilot, I'm excited for Snapshot Cal Coast, which is in June. And we will be releasing our early warning and forecasting tool that we've been building with the Ocean Protection Council, that it will be accessible for anyone to look at how their data that they have contributed along the California coast are helping us understand changes along the coast. And so I'm kind of really excited about the wrapping up of these tools, and that they'll be accessible for the government and for all of us.
That is so awesome. So much to be excited about. I'll tell you, I'm excited about helping spend $10 billion of a climate bond. California voters, thanks to the legislature putting the bond on the ballot, voted the investment of $10 billion to continue to drive forward California's world-leading climate action and protect our people and places from the impacts of climate change. And I'm blessed at our agency to be one of the many state agencies that's actually putting that money to work with so many communities and organizations. And then I'm also excited for Earth Day. So if you are in or around Sacramento on April 22nd, come by our agency. We have a public, inclusive, family-friendly Earth Day celebration where you can meet a lot of the people, including our scientists, doing our work across the agency, learn some, build community, and have a lot of fun. So let me say thank you to each of you for all that you do. Thanks for the hundreds who joined us here today. And let's remember to maintain our hope through taking action and continue to drive California's world-leading environmental efforts. Have a great day. And lastly, if you have any questions or have a follow-up to this discussion or have suggestions for other dialogues in the speaker series, please hit us up at secretarysuggestions@resources.ca.gov. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Take care.